Okay, welcome back to Desk Lab Miniatures, where I'm painting Plaguebearers. Remember these guys? Grey primed Plaguebearers that were very unique from the last episode. We're going to be looking at these, putting some colour on them. Not with contrast or speed paint, but with acrylic paint. And I'm going to explain why as we go on. With the first base coat, I'm just slapping the paint on. I'm not being too careful about going over edges into areas that I don't want to go, but I'm not deliberately doing it. I'm not going to fret at this stage if I make mistakes. Simply aim to get a nice even coat over the whole model, getting good coverage and getting into all the nooks and crannies. If part of the model receives too much paint, go back with the brush, pull the excess away. As I'm painting, I dip my brush in the water every other time I collect paint. I want to make sure the paint is slightly diluted. How much I dilute the paint depends from pot to pot, paint to paint, and brand to brand. Feel for how consistent you want the paint to be. Too thin and it's going to run, too thick and it's going to blob. I did make some mistakes as I rushed around with the green. There were areas where I wasn't cautious enough about keeping the paint thin and I let the paint collect. As the paint dried, it created little bubbles. It's a rookie mistake. I was going fast. Part of the theme of today is about making mistakes and carrying on. It's okay. Being okay with making mistakes. The acrylics give me working time and the ability to cover up my mistakes, which contrast paint does not. Speed paint is the army painter equivalent of Citadel contrast paint. From here on out in the video, I'm going to be using speed paint to describe both. Don't get me wrong, I'm not completely against speed paints. They have their uses, they can produce fast, great results, but there's a couple of reasons I'm trying to avoid them just now. They've made my painting a bit lazy. The result is very samey. You can see when a model has been speed painted. The working time is terrible. If you make a mistake, you do not have much time to fix it. The paint starts to dry quickly, and once it's started to dry, going over that area with a brush can produce messy results. Speed paints don't forgive mistakes easily. To fix a speed paint mistake, if you're not quick enough to catch it, means going back to the base coat and starting again. I've been using a lot of speed paint recently and I want to take a step back in my painting. I want to worry less about mistakes. I want to challenge myself and improve my eye and my technique for creating depth manually. The benefit of using acrylics here is that any major mistakes I make at this stage can be covered up. The working time is better. So if I do want to fix a mistake right now, I have some time to do that. I've painted the first main colour on the model. I go to the next most prominent colour and then sequentially go through all the coats until I'm just picking out the smaller details at the end. As I progress through the stages, picking out more and more detail, I'm becoming less cavalier and more careful. Wee errors are still okay though. I still have later steps in this process to cover up mistakes. There's a balance between not being too hard on myself and being careful. Normally for me, eyes go on right at the end of the painting process, if at all. With the Plaguebearers, I painted the eyes before the wash. Hopefully, the wash will create a nice outline around the eyes and I won't have to worry so much about cleaning up the eyelids later on. Another thing about painting the eyes is that I splodged on paint over the eyes onto the surrounding area. Because I was using acrylics, I had time to clean it up. I finished this stage of the project with some brown wash. Slap the wash over the base coat. You can see there's a reason why it's nicknamed liquid talent, make gooder paint. You can see straight away that the dark colour finds its way into crevices and it creates immediate depth. I know I've gone on about creating depth manually. Is my video. An important thing to remember is not to overly saturate your model with wash. If you do, it can leave pools and streaks. I'm being liberal with it because I know I'm going to paint over some areas later. I still make sure to spread it around, pass over areas multiple times, pulling away the excess with my brush. The second stage of the Plaguebearers is completed. They've had a coat of matte varnish and they're ready at this stage for the tabletop, if a little dark. And they're ready for the next layering and highlighting phase. Using acrylics and washes this way might not produce the instant results that a lot of painters using speed paint crave. Acrylics are more forgiving of mistakes and they're providing a better opportunity for learning, especially as we go into the next part of the project, which I'll cover in the next video. Thanks for watching. Please remember to like, comment and subscribe. Stay tuned for my next video. See you later.